Hello folks, I'm going to show you one of my simple joys that I have, which is to essentially, at a pen show, you find me sitting on the floor usually, under a table, and I'm looking at stuff like this, which are normally what people call their junk boxes. And junk boxes are aptly named because they're full of junk. Junk. But I like junk. And I'll tell you why I like junk as I look through these things. Junk, because I have lots and lots and lots of parts in my collection of pens, often junk boxes contain a half of a good pen, and I may have the other half of a good pen. This is not a pen. I may have the other half of a good pen, and I might remember that I do, and sometimes I don't, and I end up with two caps of the same exact junky pen, and sometimes I don't. So anyway, there's always a crapshoot, which is again another aptly named name for this thing. Crap. Box of crap. So, for example, this is a perfectly good barrel for a national pen product pen, probably, a third tier pen, not marked, but it's big. It's the size of a senior dual fold or even larger. I bet it's even larger than a senior dual fold. Where's my senior dual fold when I want it? Here's a senior dual fold. Yeah, it's larger than a senior dual fold, so it's a big pen, but it's only half of a big pen, or a third of a big pen, because it doesn't have a nib. But I can tell that this did have a gold nib in it, because the nib is rather snug. So this, the cap is in here somewhere, this is a perfectly good pen. There may be other issues, maybe the cap is completely broken, but anyway. So this is a half of a good pen. Now, there's often ballpoint pens, Boston School of Public Health. This is what I would call a junk pen. It's a ballpoint pen. Yes, they can come in handy when you have to give someone a tracheotomy, but that's about it. I do, in my house, don't tell anyone, but I do have ballpoint pens, and I use them for two specific things. One, like this one, does not have any ink in it, and I use the roller ball part to help score heavy cardstock that I need to fold, rather than using a bone, which is what bookbinders use. I use a ballpoint pen without any ink. So this will come in handy for that, and for the emergency tracheotomy. The other time I use a ballpoint pen is when I have to fill out a FedEx form. But in recent memory, I ended up using a Sheaffer Triumph Nib pen, which works perfectly fine as well. So I think I may just get rid of all my ballpoint pens, except for the one I use for the scoring of paper. So this I would call junk, so I'm just going to throw that aside. There's other pens like this that might look nice, from far away, but these are ones that really cannot be fixed. This is a piston fill if it ever opened up, or a pump fill, I guess they called it. And they worked for maybe a day and a half after which they broke, and you threw them away and you bought another one. So there are some pens like this that are completely junky, so I'll put them aside because I don't want to deal with them. Here's another half of an interesting looking pen. This one, in addition to, why is that there? Does this hold the extra leads? Let's unscrew this, see if this, no, this doesn't look like it does. Why is that there? I guess this is this is just hollow. Maybe the extra leads went back here. And of course it's missing its nib, and it's missing its cap. So this, again, is fun, and I'd love to find the rest of it. It's still junky. This one is another half of a pen. This is a piston fill that I cannot fix. Maybe someone can, but I cannot. So this is one of those pens that's relatively useless. But it's fun. It's fun to look at. I have a pen like this in my collection, and I use it as an example of gimmicks. This is one of the pens that has a little gauge here that says 500 words reserve. So when your ink goes down to that amount, you know that you only have 500 words left. My eagle eyes are spotting pens that are of some use. This is a perfectly matched cap and barrel. It's missing its section. It's missing its clip. It's missing its point. But this could be put together and made usable at your desk. Here is a Waterman Taper-Rite pen. It's not junky at all. It has a gold nib. These work perfectly fine when they work. Getting this apart from this is not easy, and it looks like someone tried by applying heat, so it's warped. So chances are this is going to break when it's repaired. But the nib is still good, so that's a great thing to find in a junk box, are nibs. I used to, and I still do, have at the pen shows when I sell, I have a suitcase full of these things. And it's very funny watching people go through and try to find things. And one year I had, you know, $3 a piece, I think. So any part or pen that was more or less complete, like this thing, was $3, and that was fine. People bought things all day long, and you know, not a lot, but every once in a while someone would come up with a $3 bill and give it to me. And then at the end of the day, or toward the end of the day, it was $1 a piece. And then way at the end of the day, they were 3 for $1. And people would come up with 3 pens or 6 pens and give me $1 or $2 or $3, whatever, you know, whatever the math made it work. And that was fun. And then toward the end of the day, and I'm thinking, oh God, do I have to lug this thing back again for another year? And there was one guy that, you know, was a good customer of my trunk, my suitcase. And I said to him, when he came up, he gave me 3 pens and he gave me $1. And I said, you can have the entire suitcase and all the pens in it for nothing. And he looked at me like I was crazy, and I repeated it so he knew that I didn't misspeak. And he went back and fumbled around a little bit. There was probably 10 times as much stuff as this. And he came back to me with 6 more pens in his hand and gave me $2 more. And I said, I don't understand. I just offered you the entire suitcase for nothing. And look how much fun you've had playing with this thing. And he said, my wife would kill me. Well, I said, you don't have to tell her. She could put it in the garage, put it in the basement. And anytime you want to play, just go down there. And he didn't. So anyway, these all might end up in a junk box, and I'm going to start out by selling them for $1 a piece or whatever. Now for $1 a piece, actually, unless I get there first, a pen like this has a perfectly good, sometimes they have a perfectly good J-bar. The only good part of this pen, because this is a non-gold nib kind of crappy wherever, is, I mean, the pen will work perfectly fine. I could put the nib is broken, but if it had a nib that wasn't broken, it would be a perfectly good pen. People could write with it all day long. But the J bar that's in it, the little pressure bar thing, is worth $1. So these are certainly, or that's worth $3, worth $5 if you need one. And so these things, this probably is a J bar. Come to think of it, it doesn't seem to have any spring. They're often rusty, but these things are really fun. Junk boxes are great. There's some things that really have no interest to me. These modern pencils are perfectly good. This is a art pencil that you buy it at art supply store. This would be probably $5 for one of these pencils, brand new. But here's a very early ballpoint pen. Cool, but I don't collect ballpoint pens. Here's another ballpoint pen part. There's a lot of ballpoint pens in here. So here's another pen that has the word gauge on it. Though this doesn't talk about the words, this talks about drops or milligrams or milliliters or whatever. And every once in a while, in my junk boxes and everyone else's junk boxes, you can find a pen that has a really nice gold nib, but they're not very easy to find. This is a Moore pen, and this is, yes, it is a Moore pen. It's one of their crappiest pens they ever made, but it's one I've never seen before. It has it has marbling at the top and at the bottom, and the center part is black for some design reason. They did that, and I could see why they didn't make very many of them, because it's kind of ugly. And it required them to add a little gold band down there. No, it's just dumb. This is like an Edsel. They should have realized how stupid it was on the drawing board without actually having to produce one. So here's another ballpoint pen. There are a lot of ballpoint pens in here, and they don't have any value to you. They may have value to a ballpoint pen collector. But as I look through this, I really don't see anything that's making me smile particularly. I think this is a Werever. Werevers are lesser pens, of course. Here's the J bar that's broken. That's useless. This, if it has a new J bar, section and nib, it can be a perfectly good writing pen. And if it has a nice nib in it, if you put a nice warranted gold nib in it, which is better than it had when it was brand new, it would be a great pen. So all of these have value. So have fun looking into your junk boxes. Or not. Let me look through them, and I'll give you my dollars. So I'm just going to sit here and... Don't you just want to take your shoes and socks off and walk through this barefoot? Isn't this what you want to do? No? You don't want to do that? Yes, I can certainly understand. Bye.